folks? What's going on, good people? Good afternoon, good afternoon, good afternoon. We are going to take a little break from my guy, Zach Morris, and we're going to get into what we get into on Mondays at this time. You know what it is. It is 4 p.m. Monday, and today is March 17th. You notice I got some green on, some green, some celebrating some St. Patrick's Day. I also have some green on, still celebrating my Eagles World Championship. So it's going to be stuck. Going to be celebrating that for a long time. But anyway, it's here. It's Monday once again, and I am glad to be right back with you. Glad to be here with you as always. I hope that you guys are ready for today. Today should be a good day. I got a great show lined up for you today. And as always, you know, I'm going to give you some scores and some things of that nature. And then we're going to talk NCAA. March Madness is here and begins tomorrow for the men in the first four to play in, if you will. And then we got the women's tournament. So we're going to talk a little bit about that. Like I said, we're going to talk about the overall number one seeds on each side, the men's and the women's. We'll talk about the brackets, run through them real rather quickly, maybe talk a little bit. And I'm going to try and give you some teams who I think might be some sleepers who might make some noise in the tournament this year. But stay tuned, all right? We'll see what happens, all right? You know where I'm at, all right? At Sports Rap CEO on Instagram, all right? You know what that is. If you cannot watch me live, all right, if you're still at work or you're in your car, whatever, you can turn on the audio, right? Right in my bio, on at Sports Rap CEO in the bio, there is a link, a Citrus 3 link, where you can tune in and get all this stuff live and in person. And if not, you know what to do. You just wait until everything gets posted up on social media, like I said. And if you get home in time, you can jump in on Instagram. All right. So let's get this thing cracking. All right. You know what we do. I'm going to give you some scores. So we know, again, that we are in this somewhat dead time for sports. So some of the topics I bring to you, like last week, I brought to you something different, and I brought to you something else on the other day. Hey, Cuzzo. Jay, Lauren, Fufu Lauren, tuned in. I'm waving at you. My guy, Mikey on mute. Thank you both, folks. Thank you both for chiming in and checking in with me today on this cloudy but fair Monday. So, like I said, we are in this dead time for sports. We are in a little rut, if you will. Like Major League Baseball is coming. But it never seems like we are really, really into or we're really invested in the preseason because there's so much. If you don't follow Major League Baseball that much, if you don't know, like during the preseason, they've got like the Grapefruit League and all these other leagues. So then they also have like split squad games. So you might look in the scores and you'd be like Phillies and the Rays. And then you look again and you're like Phillies and somebody else. And you're like, wait, how does that happen? It's like, the Phillies and they just played the Rays. How do they play a doubleheader against a different team? They're split squads. They also had a spring prospects game between the Phillies and the Pirates the other day. So it's a lot, and I think it's just a little bit too much for me to get invested in. But when the regular season starts, I'll be all tuned in and checked in. So NBA scores from yesterday. All right. Philadelphia 76ers, they get a win yesterday over the Dallas Mavericks in the Big D. They take that game 130 to 125. The Magic get by the Cavaliers 108-103. The Suns fall to the Lakers 107-96. The Hawks fall to the Nets 122 to 114. The Raptors fall to the Blazers 105-102. The Jazz get beat up on by the T-Wolves 128 to 102. The Hornets fall to the Clippers 123-88. The Bucks get beat by the Thunder 121-105. In the NHL, the Golden Knights get blanked by the Red Wings 3-0. In an overtime game, possibly a shootout, the Stars fall to the Avalanche 4-3. The Ducks get beat by the Blues 7-2. The Oilers get by the Rangers 3-1. The Panthers fall to the Islanders 4-2. Hockey Club gets by the Canucks 3-1. And in another overtime game, the Jets get by the Kraken 3-2. I will give you NBA games tonight and some NHL games tonight at the end of the show as I close out. So, again, we're here March 17th. And we know what happens in March. Like I said, we don't have much. sports, but we look forward to this time of year, or I really look forward to this time of year. Like that, you've been following me, and you know how I talk to you. I am a avid diehard basketball fan. That is my first love. All right, I am a sports fan, but if I had to categorize my sports, I'm going to go basketball, football, baseball. And you can throw a little bit of hockey in there because I understand it a little bit, probably not as much as I should, but I can get into it. But we're in this time as sports fans where it's kind of dead. The NBA season is winding down. So you've got teams that are pretty much solidified where they are. You got other teams that might be jostling for position. But you kind of get who's going to be in the playoffs right now. So it's not really any excitement. You're just kind of biding time waiting for the NBA playoffs to start. Football, all you're hearing is you're talking about the combine and the draft and that. And a lot of people don't really want to get into that until draft day when they actually can see people get drafted and hear names and cheer for teams or boo for draft picks or whatever, all those crazy things and whatnot. And like I said, baseball, it's coming. It's very close. But like I said, I think it's just too much to be invested in the spring during baseball seasons. But anyway, my favorite time of the year. And it's part because I am a basketball fan, and it's March Madness. So if you don't know, if you haven't ever followed March Madness, if you haven't, shame on you. But March Madness is one of the, yes, it is. Yes, it is. You guys should have a great, great time out there, Mikey, in Titletown. Yes, indeed. But March Madness, again, like I said, if you have not been privy to it, if you don't know what it is, if you don't have interest in it, shame on you. For me, it is the best sports time of the year. Other than the NBA playoffs and the NBA finals, this is like it. Because it's a big tournament. The top now 68 schools in the country, men's and women's, fighting it out to be the final two standing to have the opportunity to play for a national championship. One and done. And you never know who you're going to play until the games are played. And also, it starts on Thursday. So the games are played on Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. So for me, it's like I got basketball all day Thursday, all day Friday, all day Saturday, all day Sunday, up until the end, probably up until like around the Elite Eight. No, maybe the Sweet 16. But the first couple rounds is basketball all day long, baby. All day long and all evening long. And I love it. And, of course, you never get to watch all of the games. But for me, it's just the fact of knowing that there is some basketball on. And again, for me, like I said, I am a fan of the pros. I am starting to be a little indifferent with how the system is being run. Not the game, but the way the system is being run. But that's a whole different story. But for me, the college basketball scene is one of the most competitive scenes in sports, especially at this time of year when you got 68 teams, fighting for one common goal as to win a championship, fighting to be the last two standing. And again, you never know who your competition is on any given night. You could be playing a team that you've never heard of, you've never seen before. You'll have some tape on them, but in a short span of time, how much can you really game plan? How much can you really decipher from what tape you might have? Because I'm pretty sure it's not going to be a heck of a lot of tape. All right, but anyway, so yesterday, I told you all, I privied you up to this. I gave you all the updates and gave you all the prompts and let you know it was coming. So yesterday was Selection Sunday. And Selection Sunday, if you don't know what that is, that's the day where the committee announces all of the teams. Brooklyn, what it do, what it do. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you for tuning in. I appreciate the support. Excuse me, y'all. I just want to make sure I can acknowledge people as they join in and as things continue to go. So again, the selection show where the teams are selected for the tournament, and they get their positioning as they go in seeds. So it goes from 1 to 16. But also you have now over the last couple of years a play-in tournament where there's like 8 teams that are fighting to get in, and they will get in, and they'll go into a random, I guess, region and number. All right. So again, yesterday was the selection show for the men. The play-in. Let's start with the men. For the men, the first four begins on March 19th. And nope, I'm sorry, that is the wrong bracket. I pulled out the wrong bracket, people. Just a minute. I'm so excited that I pulled out the wrong bracket. So let me retract that. For the men, all right, today's the 17th, so they start tomorrow with the first four. All right, in the South region for the first four, playing for the number 16 seed, Alabama State and St. Francis. In the East, for another 16 seed, you have American versus St. Mary's. And again, in the South, you have for the number 11 seed, San Diego State versus University of North Carolina. And for the Midwest, again, the number 11 seed, Texas at Xavier. So what this means is that these 8 teams were on the bubble, but somehow, some way, the committee said, let's give them a shot, see what they can do, and have them join and see if they can move in. As you notice, you see the bigger name schools have the higher seats. So your not South Carolina, your North Carolina, your San Diego State, your Texas, and your Xavier, bigger programs have number 11 seeds, so it's a higher seed for them. And then the lower teams, Alabama State, St. Francis, American, and St. Mary's are going for Mount St. Mary's. Are playing for the 16 seed, which is just a lower D1 ranking for those teams, and they just get in at that lower seed because of the power and the ranking of the conferences and how they select everything. So for the men, our overall number ones, Auburn gets the South, Duke gets the East, Houston gets the Midwest, and Florida gets the West. All right. So starting off, I want to go backwards. I usually go from around the board. I'm going to just go counterclockwise this year. I'm going to go counterclockwise. I'm starting the Midwest. Like I said, Houston and that SIUE, really. Again, lower conferences, you have to go in and play one of the big dogs right away. So it's like you get invited, you get in, but it's short-lived. Hang around, make the best of it, and we'll see what happens next time if you win your conference again. No issues there for me with Houston. Gonzaga and Georgia, the 8-9 game. Now, there are always games that appear to be tough games. Like, when we talk to the NBA, and we always say like that 4-5 matchup is always a tough matchup because those teams are always very close. And when you look at it and you look at anything and you go 4-5, it's not a lot of separation between 4 and 5. All right. So this here, Gonzaga and Georgia. I don't know how much basketball you've been watching or how much you've been paying attention. And we all know Gonzaga is always in the mix. But in this game, I like Georgia, and they're the 9 seed, so I like the upset by Georgia in this game. Clemson and McNeese State. I thought Clemson was going to do better in the ACC tournament. They dropped down to a 5 seed, so I still like Clemson in this game. Purdue at High Point, no issues there. I like Purdue. Illinois, the 6 seed, will get the 11. They would get the winner of Texas Xavier. Now, if this game goes Texas's way, if the playing game goes the way of Texas, I like Texas's chances a little bit better than I do Xavier in getting by Illinois. Kentucky and Troy, we know that there. UCLA, Utah State, Tennessee, Wofford. Wofford is usually a tough out. They've been determined for the past couple of years that they've been a tough out. So here in this bracket, if I had to say someone that I could possibly say a sleeper team or a team that might actually surprise some people, I would have to say Georgia and maybe even Illinois. Again, like I said, the 2 teams that I said not that far apart. Georgia's the number 9, Illinois is the number 6 seed. So those are two teams that I would keep an eye on in this Midwest bracket. The other games, like I said, looks like they've picked them the way that they picked them, and it looks like we'll get what we expect in the first round through this bracket so far. Moving on to the East bracket. You got Duke at the number one. They get the winner of American and Mount St. Mary's. Of course, we like Duke in that game. Mississippi State and Baylor. We can't sleep on Baylor. Oregon and Liberty. I like Oregon there. Arizona, Akron. I like Arizona. Can't sleep on BYU. Can't sleep on Wisconsin, although they are a number 3 seed, so they're not really being slept on. Alabama's the number 2. Robert Morris is the 15. St. Mary's. Don't really feel any sleepers, any surprises in this bracket. But I will say that Mount St. Mary's does usually fight tough. So we'll see. I'm not. Like I said, I don't really see any sleepers in that bracket. That really. Moving on to the South, Auburn is the number 1 seed in the South. They get the winner of Alabama State and St. Francis. You know Alabama there. Louisville Creighton is going to be a really, really good game. It's an 8-9 seed. But I think that's going to be a really, really good game. Louisville was the runner-up in the ACC tournament to Duke. Creighton has been balling, and I think that's going to be a real, real good game. Michigan, UC San Diego. I like Michigan there. Texas A&M and Yale. I like Texas A&M. Ole Miss gets the winner of San Diego State UNC at the 11. I would typically go with UNC because that's my team, but I don't like the way that they've been playing. I'm actually a little bit surprised that we snuck into the first 4, but hopefully they can regroup and make some noise and get into this actual 11 seed and play into the first round and move on to the second round, and we'll see what happens there. Iowa State, Lipscomb, I like Iowa State. Marquette, Michigan State, and Bryant. Michigan State could be my sleeper in this bracket, although people might say, no, they're not a sleeper. They're the number 2 seed. Yes, I do see that. But you also have Auburn, Louisville, and Creighton. And then once this first round, one of those two will be going Louisville and Creighton, but then you'll have Auburn and one of those two. And then you still got Texas A&M in this bracket. You still got Michigan in this bracket, Iowa State, and Marquette. So it's a little tough over there. In the West, University of Florida is the number 1 seed. Unfortunately, they get Norfolk State out of Virginia in the first round. You know that. UConn, Oklahoma should probably be a nice game. Oklahoma could be a sleeper, but I don't think they'll get by. I really don't think they'll get by UConn. Memphis and Colorado State. I like Memphis there. Maryland and Grand Canyon. Bryce Drew's doing a pretty good job out there at Grand Canyon, but I still like Maryland. Missouri and Drake. I like Missouri. I like Texas Tech. Kansas, St. John's. Don't sleep. I think Arkansas could be a sleeper here at the number 10 seed in that bracket. So again, not a lot of sleepers in this bracket, the entire bracket. Let's see, I got 1 in the South, 2 in the Midwest, 2 in the Midwest, 2 in the West, 2 in the Midwest, and then 1 in the East. So I think this bracket is going to be good. And again, like I said, these are just the things that I think. These are just the things that I feel from seeing what I've seen over the span of college basketball this year. But who knows what can happen? You know, this is the time when miracles are made, miracles are had. This is the time when players become household names, players become history, or they stake their claim in history during these types of tournaments. So we'll see what happens on the men's side, and we'll get to all of that as we progress. Again, games start tomorrow night for the men in the first 4. The actual first round, the dates are 3/18, 3/19. The second round, following that. So like I said, it's Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, until we get possibly to like the Sweet 16, and then it kind of switch up a little bit. Moving over to the women's side. Spokane 1, Spokane 4, Birmingham 2, and Birmingham 3. Spokane 1. UCLA, number one overall seed actually in this bracket, and number one overall seed in the women's tournament. All right, the overall number four, number ones, and I'll break them down as we go through. All right, they get a play-in team at number 16, so we know that. Richmond, Georgia Tech, I don't know. Grand Canyon females and women are in this too. Florida State's pretty good. LSU was always in the mix. They're number 3 seed here. Michigan State, McNeese State, not McNeese State, Michigan State. I'm sorry. I said Georgia Tech. Baylor is always good here. So you got to watch them. San Diego State. In the Spokane 4, USC is the number 1 seed here. They get UNC Greensboro. We know that. I like them there. I like California over Mississippi State. Kansas State, Kentucky, Liberty, Iowa, Oklahoma. I think Oklahoma State could be a sleeper here. I would say Arkansas State, but they get UConn in the first round, so I'm going to wipe them off and not say that. Okay. In Birmingham, 2, Dawn Staley and the South Carolina Lady Gamecocks are the number 1 seed there. In this region, Maryland, maybe. It's pretty much all I see in this bracket in the way, really, of South Carolina if they come in on their game. For me, I would love to see a rematch of South Carolina UCLA, because UCLA was a team that knocked them out of the number 1 spot in the ranking, the regular national ranking. So I would love to see that rematch again. And I would also love to see, since they're in 2 different brackets, a rematch if it happens and it pans out at some point, UCLA versus USC once again. In the Birmingham 3, the number 1 seed here is Texas. All right, they get a playing game from a 16. Not too big. The women's, first 4 is not as big as the men's first 4 anyway. Let's see. Illinois, I like Creighton in this too. Notre Dame, again, number 3, Notre Dame, yeah. Louisville at number 7 could be tough. Nebraska at number 10 could be a tough out. So again, I thought that there would be a lot more parity in the league in this tournament, but it doesn't seem like it. And I could be wrong. Like I said, we never know what's really going to happen until it happens. And for me to sit here and talk to you and give you my thoughts is great. And we just have to watch it and see how things play out. They may play out the way I said, they may not. There might be some other teams that surprise you. Again, stranger things have happened in NCAA tournaments on both sides, the men's and the women's. Again, stranger things have happened. We definitely know this. There's no getting around it. But again, this is a time where you either bring your A++ game or you get sent packing very early. And a lot of teams don't want that. So I think both tournaments are going to be really good. Beginning tomorrow for the men, and then the women's first 4 starts the day after that. So starting tomorrow, you got basketball the rest of the week. How much better can it get? Somebody tell me, how much better can it get? I don't think it can get much better than that. You get basketball, like I said, the rest of the day's Monday. You get basketball the rest of the week. And you can even sprinkle in a little bit of NBA in there too if you want. But you're not going to get an NBA game at 2 o'clock in the afternoon on a Thursday. It's not going to happen. Or a Friday. It's not going to happen. You're going to get some NCAA March Madness on a Thursday, Friday, early afternoon, mid-morning, late morning, early afternoon, not even late morning, but early afternoon, evening games. You're going to get them. So just stay tuned. Have some fun with it. Fill out your brackets. Do what you do. And of course, as the brackets get updated, I will come to you every week and bring you the update bracket. I have my brackets printed out, and I will update them as they proceed and as the games are played. So, NCAA March Madness once again is here. Again, the best time of the year for me. I don't know what else can top this for me. like I said, I get to see basketball early afternoon and pretty much all day long for like 4 days in a row. And again, like I said, it's more to me. It's more exciting because of the tournament. It's one and done. So it's like if you don't win, you get to go. You got to go home. And sometimes you might have had to travel across the country to go play this game. You get there and you just get beaten, and it's just over for you. That run is over. For me, the toughest part of this tournament is for the seniors. If you don't make it all the way, depending on where you get bumped out at, it's tough for the seniors. But again, they have to take into consideration that they're making memories, right? Again, this NCAA tournament for a lot of players is a once in a lifetime thing. Some of them get there and never get back. Some of them get there and win it. Some of them get there and win it multiple times. Some of them never get there at all. So once you do get there, I do think you have to relish every moment of it because the memories are going to be so great that arguably your grandkids will be telling their grandkids. So make the most of it, is what I say. Like I said, you know, you might not get there again. And again, like I said, some players never get there. Some get there, don't go far. Some get there, go far. Some get there, go and win it all. Some get there, go win it all multiple times. But it's an experience that will last with you for your remaining days after you play the tournament, after your college career is over. That particular moment will ring with you for the rest of your days. And again, like I said, it's arguably something that your grandkids will tell their grandkids about you. So take it and run with it. I mean, live it. Do what you do. Have fun with it. But be focused. I mean, of course, the determination and the goal is to win the championship, to get to the championship. But if you don't, just make sure that you soak it all in, or at least soak in as much as possible. It's ideally you want to soak it all in, but sometimes you might get overwhelmed. So if you get a little overwhelmed, just soak in as much as you can and relish it, enjoy it, live in it for that moment. All right. On to some Eagles talk, just some real quick Eagles talk. We're in free agency. The draft is coming up very soon, next month. But Eagles in free agency. All right. We know who we lost. Josh Sweat, Milton Williams. We lost Kenny Gainwell, cut James Bradbury, Isaiah Rodgers, Darius Slay. Just not that long ago, Mackay, back then, and Paris Campbell. Paris Campbell signed with the Cowboys, so he don't really count. Anyway, we knew that we were going to lose players. It happens to every team that goes and wins the Super Bowl. It's kind of weird, but you could argue that it's the nature of the business. The last time we went and won, we lost both coordinators. Well, not the last time we went, won. When we went and lost, we got there, but we lost both coordinators because of the way the team played, the way the team performed, and the record that we showed. So we knew it was going to happen again. But I think how we prepared for it. All right. I really do think that he prepared for it in a way that nobody seems to be paying attention to seriously. It's kind of low key, if you will, maybe. I kind of at one point in some conversations, or a couple points in some conversation and some dialogue with some friends, made this reference that the Eagles are looking like they're becoming the Oklahoma City Thunder of the NFL. And I say that because we know how many picks the Oklahoma City Thunder has or has had over the last couple of years. And look at where they are now. The Eagles are already good. They're just coming off a Super Bowl win. Second Super Bowl appearance in 3 years. 1-1 so far in those last 3 years. So 1-1. All right. The guys that we lost, we knew we were going to lose some of them. So it wasn't that big a deal. All right. But bringing in, and these are guys, budget guys on 1-year deals. All right. In free agency, they bring in cornerback Adoree Jackson, tight end Harrison Bryant, linebacker Joshua Uche, running back A.J. Dillon, offensive lineman Kenyon Green was in a trade, and QB Dorian Thompson-Robinson also received in a trade. So these guys are bargain guys. All right. The Eagles also re-signed Saquon Barkley to an extension. They brought in Ben Vasmurin on a 1-year deal. He was re-signed. And Zach Braun, the linebacker, on a 3-year deal. All right. They also brought in Patrick Johnson, outside linebacker, Avery Williams, kick returner, punt returner, Charlie Hewlett, long snapper, and Harrison Bryant, the tight end. And all those guys that I just mentioned, those last 4 are also on 1-year deals. Again, more budget guys. But the Eagles are going to end up with about 4 compensatory picks for some of the players that they lost, i.e. the Mekhi Becton, the Josh Sweat, the Milton Williams. All right? Those guys are going to recoup us some compensatory picks. So, over the next 2 years, the Eagles have a total of 20 NFL draft picks. And Adam Schefter said it himself, who has been really, really good in the draft over the past several years. Philadelphia Eagles and Howie Roseman. So in next year, we have 8 picks in this year's draft, the 2025 draft. They have our first, a second, a third, a fourth, and 4 fifth-round picks. In 2026, there's 12 picks overall. A first, a second, 3 third, 3 fourth, a fifth, 2 sixth, and a seventh. So people, you might say, oh, well, they got all these draft picks. Like, are they going to use them for trade capital? Maybe some of them might get used for trade capital. But more importantly, what these kinds of signings and these draft picks will do will allow the Eagles to bring these veteran guys in, or these bargain guys in on 1-year deals. It will also allow the Eagles, but also allow the Eagles to sign some players on rookie deals that will in turn allow them to sign superstars as well, or stars as well. So don't think that the Eagles are done. It's been somewhat quiet, but again, we recoup these draft picks. The draft is coming. And we've seen how we work his stuff. And it hasn't been a lot of talk. So I'm thinking that the clock is ticking. Things are brewing. That pot is warming up. Got that flame just lit. All right, it's not really hot yet. It's just warming up. There's some things brewing. Okay? So just stay tuned. And people be patient. There are some people that have mixed opinions about, like, oh, well, they lost this person. They lost him. What are they going to do with that? Folks, you have to remember there are already people in place, if you will. We talked to Milton Williams and we talked Josh Sweat. Okay, don't forget the emergence of Nolan Smith Jr. Barring the injuries, don't forget or count out Nakobe Dean. Corner D-backs are young now and good. Very soon to be really good. They're Super Bowl champions, so I guess I could arguably say that they're really good right now. Don't forget the rest of that defensive line. The 2 Georgia Bulldogs in the middle of that line, Jordan Davis and Jalen Carter. The man-child, Jalen Carter. There are some free agents floating around still. But again, Howie got some positions settled, and they're still going to make moves. I really strongly think that the talk, and I've been hearing it the last couple of days with the safety Justice Simmons, who has put out there that the Eagles are high on his list because his former coaches that he would love to play for, again, are here. Vic Fangio and the D-back coach. So hopefully that's in the works to get something done. He can get a little bit of money because of the way we got these draft picks and we know where we stand. We're going to get those compensatory picks. So listen, let Howie cook, man. We love it when he cooks. Right? We love it when he cooks. Let Howie cook. Because it smells good. And ultimately, a lot more times than not, it tastes good. Tastes really good this past year. Real good because we got that ring. All right? Brought that Lombardi home trophy back to Philly. All right? And you made your second appearance in 3 years. And you have a team that played with a purpose in that game. I looked at that game like I looked at the Cincinnati game a while back where I said people call this a trap game, whatever. I said, but if the Eagles go in there with the mind frame, if they had to just take this game from the very start and just go in and take it, shouldn't be a problem. And I think that's how they felt, and I think that's what they did against Kansas City. And again, like I said, there also could have been that bad taste in their mouth of how the last time that they were in the Super Bowl and how it played out. Yeah, they lost. They only lost by 3. But there were parts in that game where I could sit here and give you a whole show and a half on missed calls and all this other stuff. But we're not going to do that. Again, like I said, I just think that left a taste in a lot of the players' mouths, and they wanted to get their revenge on that. And I think they did. Well, not think they did. We know they did because they won. And they won hands down. There was like no competition. There was no competition. They won that game hands down. From start to finish, they won it. So you can argue whatever you want to argue, but people won't want to admit it. People are still not going to back off the Jalen Hurts talk. What else does he have to do now as far as being a player, being a NFL or maybe even a franchise quarterback? What else does he have to do? He took this team to the Super Bowl twice. He won it once. Okay. People talk about Donnie McNabb. Yes, great quarterback. Arguably one of the greatest quarterbacks in Eagles history. Donnie got to a Super Bowl. Donnie didn't perform like Jalen did in both Super Bowls. Jalen played a hell of a game in both Super Bowls. Don't get me wrong. The game in the one that he lost, he played a hell of a game. And then there was all that talk about this and that, whatever. He can't do this, he can't do that, he can't read defense. Like I said, I broke this stuff down during the regular season. The 2 plays where Saquon had that 170-yard in the playoffs and that other one was 60-some yards, those were both audibles called by Jalen Hurts after reading a defense. When people said he couldn't read the defense. He throws a deep ball to Devontae Smith on the money in the Super Bowl that pretty much put the game away. First pass to A.J. Brown, where they called the offensive pass interference, which I think was a nonsense, was perfect, right on the money where it should have been. But they say this, that, and the third. But I say, what else does he have to do? What else needs to be done in order for you to see that he's where he needs to be? Y'all figure it out. I sit here and I see it. So if I see it, I know y'all see it. Just stop with the nonsense. Give the man his flowers because he deserves them. All right. Definitely deserves his flowers. And y'all need to stop playing with the man and give them to him. All right. But if not, he's just going to keep showing out on the field. You don't have to give it to him. You're going to command it anyway. Because again, like I said, he's going to feel like he's going to keep bringing it out on the field. And you're going to, at some point, you're just going to have to give him all the respect that he deserves. All right. So, last but not least, folks, the topic I have for you coming up. Brooke, you might want to stay in on this. Mikey, I don't know how your hip-hop knowledge is, but you might want to hang around for a little bit. And Cuzzo, I don't know if you're still here, but if you're not, pop back in and let me see. Let me find out what y'all know, what y'all want to talk about, and what y'all have for me. So, we often talk about hip-hop and sports as a collaborative, as a cohesive unit. Cultures intertwined by players who want to be rappers, rappers who want to be players or admire players. It has been going on for a long time. There was even at some point they were talking, and a lot of people were talking, oh, well, rap was just a fad. It was just a phase. It's going to fade out. But now we see rap, hip-hop, as we like to say lovingly, is everywhere. You see it on regular TV in a lot of commercials. You see it incorporated in TV shows that are not all black TV shows. Let's go there. All right. You see it definitely incorporated in sports. All right. The biggest sport is NBA, I believe, is where that's the biggest to me. You know, there is some NFL and other correlation, but the biggest intertwining of cultures and jazz is the NBA and hip hop. Right. So for this you have to think about back to when their eras were different. Because starting in the 90s is where this hip hop era began to get heavy. I'm not going to say it wasn't there before, but in the 90s it got heavy, real heavy. Okay, there was a time when NBA players back in the era where I grew up on, in the late 70s, early 80s, all through the 80s and early 90s, where players wore suits and got dressed like a business guy, they were going to handle business. Then there was a lack of, and I'm not going to say it was his fault, but I also believe that he was very, very instrumental in the culture intertwining. One, Allen Iverson, Bubba Chuck, as he's lovingly called, Philadelphia 76 is great, was one who bucked the system, if you will. Decided that he was going to wear the things that he wore all the time. He did not want to deviate from his real true self just because he was an NBA player. He felt like, I need to be true to myself. I need to be true to my fans, so I want to be who I am. Ultimately, bringing about an implemented dress code by then Commissioner David Stern, which a lot of people thought was stupid. I thought it was crazy as well, because what is the point? I mean, and at that time, the coaches were wearing. So we've seen how the coaches have changed now. They're not wearing suits and ties. But back then, coaches wore suits and ties. So that's been released. That's been relaxed. Not released, but that's been relaxed a lot. So for the players, it's one of those things where it's like, I'm coming from home, or I'm coming from a hotel, coming to the arena. What do I need to put a suit on to get on the bus, get to the arena, take it off, put on a uniform? A lot of players probably was like, I'm gonna just wear what I got on. I'm gonna rock out with the sweatsuit. I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna do that. But it was that culture where the NBA began to get younger, and hip hop became a staple of the NBA, to the point where you had NBA players making rap albums, all right, being on records with other rappers, being in advertisements with NBA players and rappers combined. There were combinations. The music is incorporated in the end game. It's incorporated in the pre games and the warm ups. It's incorporated in the locker rooms. So hip hop and the NBA, in my opinion, I think are one. They're so intertwined that you can argue that they are one. Arguably they're saying it's been 5 decades. So that's 50 years that it's been in existence, the backdrop and everything. Just like I said, his impact, Allen Iverson's impact was immediate and transformative, not just in terms of his basketball prowess, but the shift he triggered in the league's cultural landscape. His off-court swagger seamlessly translated into his on-court performance. He wore the baggy clothing, chains, and tattoos became hallmarks of his iconic style, echoing the late 90s and early 2000s hip-hop fashion trends. That's where it began. That's where we're saying it began. All right? It extended beyond the fashion, though. Shaquille O'Neal and Kobe Bryant were active in the music scene. All right? That's a fusion of two. Kobe had a rap album, had a song, first song, Say My Name. Shaq, rap albums, on a song with the Few Schnickens. Shaq is also a DJ. Iverson also put out a rap album. More famously, he appeared in that commercial with Jadakiss, the Reebok commercial. Collaboration, connection, culture intertwining. Right? When Nipsey Hussle's death was announced, or his passing, let me say it that way. I'm sorry. His passing was announced. It sent shockwaves through the NBA. Okay, because of his music, the impact of what he was doing with his music, the impact he was putting on his community, the impact he had on his community was something that these NBA players gravitated to. Like the rappers gravitate to the NBA players, it's mutual because at that point the NBA players gravitated to him. All right. There's always been that as a adage that rappers want to be athletes and athletes want to be rappers. We know that. We've always talked about that. We've said that a lot. Right? We've said it a lot. And this even goes back, if you want, you can argue, it goes back to Deion Sanders. We talk about Allen Iverson because the biggest influence of hip hop, I think, is in the NBA. But we can also go back to Deion Sanders. Prime Time. MC Hammer, Too Legit to Quit. And Deion, Too Legit to Quit. Rap song. Hip hop, sports. And people will say, oh, well, MC Hammer ain't hip hop. Well, au contraire. He is hip hop. It may not be the hip hop that you like, but that point is hip hop. Because if you argue that, then you can easily argue what today's stuff is called. Is today's music really called hip hop? Some of the elder statesmen will argue that this is rap, it's not hip hop. Because we see the fashion has shifted. A lot of these guys from the 80s and the 90s, the elder statesmen, are looking at these new guys and where their fashion has went, how it's made that turn, and they're like, no, that's not hip hop. Y'all rappers. That ain't hip hop. What y'all doing as far as that, and as far as and intertwined in the culture and taking a look at the culture, that ain't hip hop. I don't know what it is, but it ain't hip hop. Now, don't get me wrong. There are a few rappers whose music of today I can listen to. It's a very few. But again, for the most part that I'm talking about, this intertwining of cultures, it's hit kind of a speed bump now. And we see this, like I said, we see how the hip hop, the rap culture, the rap artists now are dressing their fashion statement and their fashion connoisseur or whatever has changed. It also has changed in NBA. When we see how these outfits, when they do the walk-ins, like when you have them on TV, the live walk-ins, or if you go to a Sixers game and they tell you the fits for the day. And you look at some of the stuff that these NBA players wear. For me, it's a little bit funnier seeing them trying to keep up with this new wave fashion because they're a lot taller. And a lot of times, stuff just looks off on them. It looks weird because of their height and their size. Not too many of these rappers are 6'8", 7-footers, things of that nature. So they can wear that stuff. I'm not going to say pull it off because there's a lot of stuff, there's a lot of stuff that these new rappers wear that I feel like that should not ever be on a man. If you want to call yourself a man or a male, they wear stuff that I feel like, this is me talking, me, Sports Rap CEO. There's stuff that they wear that I feel should never touch the body of a man. Okay? But that's a whole different story. But again, you see the trend how now NBA is even getting still younger. You see how this trend now, this new fashion trend that's in rappers now is coming back. And, for all sakes and purposes, we'll say hip hop because it's the overall culture is hip hop. It's not just the rap and the fashion. It's everything intertwined. But it has taken a shift. Right? It has taken a shift. And trying to keep up, not really worth it. Like I said, there's a few rappers that are out today, the new stuff that I listen to. I'm definitely not into the drill music. No way, no shape or form into the drill music because that doesn't make sense to me. But there are some other rappers, like I said, there's a few that I listen to and I'm okay with. So, again, like I said, I just told you how we see the influence on the fashion and the identity, right? We have a change in identity in today's rappers, change in their fashion, and that has also trickled into the NBA where we see how the NBA players are dressing now. All right. Music and motivation. Again, like I said, hip hop is so intertwined that in the locker rooms it's played. In the pregame warm-ups it's played. When you walk into the stadium, you're hearing hip hop. In between the games, you're hearing hip hop, right? So it's there. It's used to energize the players. It's used to energize the fans, right? So much to the point with the music that, like they said, going back to the Eagles Super Bowl win back in 2017, 2018 season, what was their theme song? Meek Mill's Dream the Nightmare. Hip hop. Still to this day, that's a running theme song for the Eagles, right? It's not played as much, but that's still the running theme song for the Eagles. But it's hip hop, and you see how it meshed. It was their motivation. It was played in the locker room, right? It was played before games. It was played when they won. It's their motivation to get them going, all right? Also, the thing I talked about with Nipsey, how I said the players in the NBA gravitated to his stature, if you will, in his community and the things that he was doing in his community and for his community. It's that shared platform for social change. It inspired so many other players to kind of shift their foundations, because a lot of the players have foundations, and for them it's something to do because it's kind of like what they're encouraged to do. So they kind of get simple with it, and I don't mean like simple like stupid or anything like that. Kind of get vanilla with it. They give to children's foundations like Make-A-Wish and things like that. Then they start their own foundations and things like that. But after Nipsey Hussle's thing issue of him passing, again, they took that and switched it. Like Russell Westbrook has a clothing line, but it's a clothing line catered to and geared to the struggles and the perseverance of young black teenagers, right? Even back in 2021, cultural platform for social change. Kawhi Leonard was the executive producer of the song. Portions of the proceeds went to Kobe Bryant's wife, the Mamba and the Mamba Cedar Foundation, Sports Foundation, honoring Kobe and his daughter, demonstrating how the NBA and hip hop collaborate for greater causes. All right. So global reach. We know how hip hop has taken over the world, right? We know that. You can go to China right now and find DJs that are just as good as DJs in the States. You can go to London and find rappers that are just as good as some of the rappers in the United States. Global reach. We know the NBA's global reach. Look at the international players in the NBA right now. Look at the leagues all around the world. Global reach. Conclusion. The relationship between hip hop and the NBA is a dynamic and evolving partnership. All right. It's rooted in shared experiences and mutual admiration. It has shaped the culture of basketball and music alike. Fashion and style to music. And activism. And it's leaving a lasting impact on fans and players. So bottom line, the bond between hip hop and the NBA is a testament to the power of cultural exchange and the enduring influence of both art forms on modern society. So again, the NBA, big impact on society. Hip hop, huge impact on society. Vice versa, the NBA, huge impact on hip hop. Hip hop, huge impact on the NBA. It's there. We see it. We see the rappers at the games. Like I said to you, we even have rappers who have been instrumental in owning teams. Jay-Z with the Brooklyn Nets, moving them from Jersey into Brooklyn, building a stadium, having stake in that team. Business decisions. Usher being a part owner of the Cleveland Cavaliers. There are other stars that are not rappers, R&B or whatever, but we see where the reach is. Again, the NBA does so much stuff as far as in the community. Again, the social change. Making an impact. Using what people said was a fad, what a lot of people said wouldn't last, what a lot of folks said was stupid, a lot of people said it didn't make sense. Some of the old folks call that hippity hoppity stuff. But if you take a look back And when I was prepping this show, I was talking about this with some people, some friends I know. And we were talking about the music, the comparison, just not really comparing, but just talking about the music from today and the music from when we, let's say me, early 80s, 90s hip hop, right? Some of these songs today, like I said, there's some rappers that I know that I like today. And I can get behind some of their songs, and I know some of the lyrics. True, right? And I mean, there are some that are really good, too. Like, Drake is good for his niche. Kendrick Lamar, as far as lyricism, is great for his niche. So there's stuff in between. But then for the most part, the bigger grouping of rappers with the drill music and the other stuff, not really into it, can't keep the lyrics like whatever. It's like, what I can't even get the lyrics a lot of times. But when we think about it, we talk about hip hop, we talk about the culture, we talk about the global reach. What else do we talk about? We talk about the link, the collaboration, the culture, right? Back then, we had hip hop that was spanned across different spectrums or different levels. All right, we had Public Enemy, we had the militant rap, if you will. We had Common, we had the Roots, we had the Fugees, boot Camp Click. This was called the Backpacks. The what did we call it? The can't remember the word we used, but it was the good rap. And then we had the gangster rap, right? But any of those genres I just mentioned, there was a song from '82, and you were into hip hop in '82. Right now, if you heard that song, you could sing every word. And we were talking, and I'm like, yeah, that's the thing I have with this is like, look at us now. Like when we were doing that, we were in our teens, and a lot of people I was talking to were in our 50s. So we're like mid 50s, not even just reaching in the 50s. We're in mid 50s, right? And we're talking, and I'm like, yo, dude, I'm listening to the radio the other day, and a song comes on, and I'm looking at it, and it's like, I see the song is 30 years old. But I'm in my car, and I'm singing it verbatim. All the lyrics, all the hook, everything. Even most of the ad libs. If the song had ad libs, I know the entire thing. Right? This music today, it's not that simple. I can even go back. Shout out to my homie, my cousin brother, Chris Adams. Right? My cousin, my brother, my homie. Testament. I was there with them. We were there together. Public Enemy was here at the Electric Factory down on Spring Garden, off of Spring Garden Street. Right? In the crowd, Public Enemy performing. We were huge Public Enemy fans. This is how I'm telling you, this is how much you could hear and you could understand, and you were somewhat culture shocked, and you understood and you remember and memorized all these lyrics. They put the mic out to the crowd. Professor Griff was still with the group then. Put the mic out to the crowd. Just so happened Chris grabs this mic, and he spit the entire verse to the point where Griff, hey, give me my mic back. So again, shout out to my guy, my brother, my cousin, Chris Adams. Shout out to him for that. But again, and it was like second nature. As soon as he touched the mic, he just kept going. He's rolling with it. And this is what I'm saying. So we were laughing and we were joking. We were like, yeah, so for us, we're going to tell our grandkids, we're going to be able to sing some of the rap songs that we grew up with. And they may not appreciate it. They may laugh at them. But we'll be able to sing every word to them. Okay? Depending on your state, you may have to sit and remember a little bit hard or dig deeper to remember a little bit. But you'll get pretty much most of the words. You'll probably get all of them. Our kids and their grandkids are going to be crazy. Because there's no variation in the music, in my opinion. Or there's not enough variation in the music today. Like I said, we had the conscious rap. There it is. I got it now. We had the conscious rap. All right. We had the party rap. Where all you did was you danced. You still knew the lyrics, but that was one of them songs where it was like, this song came on, you was dancing. If you was in your car, you was at a party, wherever you was at, you walking through your house, you bobbing your head, you grooving to this song. Right? Then you had, like I said, you had your gangster rap. When you was feeling angry, you listen to that. You listen to NWA, you listen to some Public Enemy, the militant rap. Right? Then we also had blended in with some LL stuff. You had the love song when you wanted to appeal to the ladies. So we had different variations of the music that kept us going. what we got today, and like I said, it goes into the culture because it is rap. So it ties into the culture. But I tend to go with what some of the elder statesmen call, say this is rap today. It's not really hip hop. It's under the umbrella, but it's like rap. Because these our kids, the kids that listen to what they listen to today, are not going to be able to tell their grandkids what any of these rappers have said. Somebody check me if I'm wrong. I'm live at Sports Rap CEO on Instagram. I don't think nobody gonna check me because I think anybody that's listening, anybody that knows what I'm talking about, knows that I'm probably right. And it's just funny, but it's still a great thing. Like I said, because for the NBA to be where it is, and for a music genre to have been written off so long ago, and to look where it has grown, look where it has evolved to now, where we have hip hop artists or rappers being inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. And they said it was a fad. It wasn't going to last. But it's incorporated everywhere now. Everywhere. Even in just written advertisements. You see stuff, they use hip hop lyrics. Peep it. I know y'all see it. And like I said, y'all hear it in the commercials all the time. Y'all see it in TV shows all the time. They always have a music back. They always have a music drop when they do TV shows and they do movies. There's always music. Anytime you know what happens when you have a movie, you always get a movie soundtrack when you get songs that are featured in the movies. And if that soundtrack got 15 songs on it, I'm willing to bet that 12 or 11, 12 of them, well, let's go easy. Let's be nice. If they got 15 tracks on it, 10 to 12 of them are rap or hip hop songs by a hip hop artist, or it could possibly be a collaboration of a hip hop and an R&B artist. And if that's the case, like we said, at some point there's a verse on there, a hip hop verse on that song. So it could possibly be crossed over between R&B and crossover into hip hop, that one song. But again, it was labeled to be a fad, labeled to be unacceptable. It's now acceptable by the masses, or accepted by the masses. And it's global. What did I say earlier? Global reach. Again, we know how the NBA is. We see the NBA because we watch it every day. It's there for us. But hip hop, again, like I said, you got, and I get this stuff from a kid and the kids I work around, right? But just being a true, what I call myself a true hip hop fan, social media is an outlet too, and that's a big outlet because, like I said, we see how the global reach has come about. I told you, UK, Japan, Korea, Africa, Australia, all over the world. You're going to find some hip hop. Okay, you can go to Mexico, you can go wherever. You're going to find some hip hop. Some of the places it may not be in English, but you're going to find some hip hop. You're going to tell because of the nature of the beats, the nature of the music. But it's going to be fun. And again, like I said, I think I like the way it's going. Like I said, although I don't really condone the way that the dress, the fashion, the statement has changed as far as now between hip hop and the NBA. Can't really get behind that, and that's just me personally. But I mean, I kind of understand. I like the fact that it has changed. It's evolving, if you will, right? Everything's not going to stay the same forever, right? Like I said, I've evolved. I still listen to my 80s, 90s hip hop. That's usually my go-to. And my 80s, 90s R&B, but we're talking hip hop. So my 80s, 90s, early 2000s hip hop is my go-to, right? Even back to some of the late 70s, right? Very, very late 70s, early 80s is my hip hop. It's my go-to. But I said I do listen to some of the stuff that is played today. Not a lot. Like I said, I could probably count the artists I listen to that I could listen to on one hand. But again, that's me being a hip hop head, being hip hop natured. being engulfed in the culture as well. So, again, hip hop, the NBA, hip hop and sports, a collaboration, a cohesion that is going to be around for a long time. There's also talk about the symbiotic relationship, all right? And that's the mutual relationship between the two. Like I said, you have the hip hop artists. You take Drake, for example, who is a big and huge avid Toronto Raptors fan. He's in the building a lot. He was there for them when they won the championship in the parade, yada, 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 all that good stuff. All right. Again, I talked to you about the fashion and about the style, right? And here we go. A little bit of the future of the NBA and hip hop evolving together. All right. We can anticipate trends, collaboration that will further blur the lines between the two cultural powerhouses. Right. So there's going to be some cohesion. There's going to be some stuff where you're going to be like, not really. I don't think so. Maybe, maybe not. All right. Future of the NBA and hip hop is bright and endless possibilities for growth and transformation. Like I said, it's changing now. We see it in front of our eyes. We see it. All right. This exploration into the deep dynamic relationship between the NBA and hip hop reveals a cultural synergy that goes beyond entertainment. It's a fusion of styles, attitudes, and platforms, right, that reflects and influences societal trends, making it a fascinating and significant aspect of modern culture. So, the NBA is here, and now we know hip hop is here, and for all intent purposes, it is going to be around here for a long time. If you don't like it, that's fine. It's going to be here, and it's just going to continue to grow. It's going to continue to be intertwined into just about everything that you see. You just saw hip hop was the halftime show in the biggest game of the year, the biggest sporting event of the year, the Super Bowl, and the halftime show was a full hip hop show. But it was a fad. It wasn't going to last. Folks, I thank you all, everybody that tuned in today. My cousin, Fufu Lauren. And I'm giving all these Instagram handles, okay? My guy at Mikey on Mute Podcast. Make sure you go check him out. Please, y'all. Make sure y'all check my good friend out. Positive vibes only. Brooke, thank you for tuning in. Coach Lowell Rich, as always, and my guy, Jay Blake 5, as always. Thank you all for tuning in. And anybody else that was tuned in that did not want to chime in or join in and say anything to me. But again, I know you're here. I know you're tuned in. Remember, you know where to find me. Instagram, Threads, and TikTok at Sports Rap CEO. You can get the webpage, sportsrapradio.com. All right, you can get me right here on Heat 100 Radio and my bio on all three of those socials. There is the Citrus 3 link. If you have not done it already, get over to the Google Play Store or iOS if you are Apple people. Download the mobile app. Just search Heat 100 Radio online. Also, make sure you get over to the YouTube channel, Sports Rap TV. You know what to do there. The three things you know what to do. Thumbs up on the videos that you like. Subscribe to the channel and then hit the bell so you will know when new content is up and alerted. It is 5:07 p.m. If you are on your way home, please enjoy the nice cloudy. It's a little cloudy, but the weather is nice. It's a nice breeze blowing. It is a little windy, so definitely be careful. Crack the windows a little bit. Enjoy the air. Spring, as we know it, is in the air. It's coming. It's real close. All right. Be great on purpose, as always. And remember, make sure you tune in each and every Monday right here on Heat 100 Radio, heat100radio.com, and on my social media all week. So, tonight's games, NBA. You got the Heat and the Knicks, the Pistons and the Pelicans. Sixers are still in Texas. Sorry, in Texas. They face the Rockets tonight. The Pacers and the Timberwolves, the Bulls and the Jazz, the Nuggets and the Warriors, Grizzlies and the Kings, the Wizards and the Blazers, the Raptors and the Suns, and the Spurs and the Lakers. In the NHL, the Sabres and the Bruins, the Flyers and the Lightning, Devils, Blue Jackets, Flames, Maple Leaf, Kings, Wilds. Thank you all for tuning in. Again, like I said, be great on purpose. I will talk to you guys all week on social media and right back here next Monday in the studio. Peace.